As AmeriCorps members and volunteers, we do more than talk about our core values. We take action and commit to making our community stronger.
At AmeriCorps, my commitment to equity gives every student a strong start.
Our compassion brings food and friendship to neighbors in need.
My determination protects sparks in my community.
Now more than ever, your community needs you. What's at your core? Learn more at AmeriCorps.gov.
Hello and welcome. My name is John Kelly. I'm the Executive Director of Serve Colorado, and I'm super excited to be kicking off our annual Colorado AmeriCorps Swearing In Day. This ceremony is always an exciting time, but I have to admit that even as Executive Director, I'm not much of a public speaker, and so it's probably my least favorite part of the job. I have enjoyed getting to see everybody checking in from around the state, seeing a little bit about what everybody's doing. But as I was thinking ahead to today, I asked the team what I should talk about to kind of kick us off. And they literally wrote on my page here, it says, think inspiration. And so I was actually pondering that a little bit. And I think that's the wrong message. I think you all are already inspired. Frankly, you already signed up and you showed up, and that's pretty impressive. I think as you look around and you saw what our country is facing and what our state is facing, you saw that a lot of people are, say, hungry, or the economy has left them behind, and our food systems aren't sustainable. I think you saw that a lot of our kids have fallen behind, during COVID, and there's historical education gaps. You saw that our planet is really hurting under climate change, and that we have a need to take care of this beautiful land that we have here in Colorado. And you saw the public health crisis that's an ongoing challenge for us. And that's the beauty of AmeriCorps National Service, is that you all saw problems and you turned towards them instead of turning away from them. And that inspires me. And so thank you all in advance. I really appreciate it. Especially special shout out. Many of you, at least some of you, are signing up for a second year of service. So thank you for your dedication to the state. And for those that are is your first year of service, thank you so much. It's an incredibly important time. And so I appreciate you signing up to serve when so much is going on. So enough of my rambling. I want to turn it over to much better speakers and more inspiring speakers, frankly. And I'm happy to turn it over to Summer Gaither-Cole, who is a friend and a colleague. Summer and I go back to working in DC together at the Corporation for National and Community Service during the Obama years. And I'm very happy to serve alongside her now. She's the chair of the Governor's Commission here in Colorado on community service, and is a great leader and a great friend. So Summer, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks so much, John. Really appreciate it. And you did give inspiration to all of us. And I also want to reiterate that I love seeing all the enthusiasm in the chat box there. So really, to all of the members, I just want to say welcome, and we are so excited to have you. As chair of the commission, I wanted to just give you a little bit of the background of kind of what happens behind the scenes. And the first thing I would say is that every 3 years we conduct an evaluation across the state where we reach out to communities and ask them what their biggest needs are, and how volunteerism and AmeriCorps membership might be able to help address those needs as we find them. So part of what we do in the commission then is look at the assessment that's done across the state, and then identify areas where we really want to focus our work and our impact. So we usually put out a request for proposals and invite organizations from across the state to respond and tell us how they could work with, alongside AmeriCorps members, to really make a difference in those communities and help address some of those biggest problems. And then we get proposals, we look at them, and we approve grants and help organizations move forward in their communities to address that. So that's a little bit of kind of what happens behind the scenes. But I want to share with you a quick story that just will demonstrate some of the impact I think all of you will have across the state. When I first moved to Colorado in 2012, as John said, he and I worked together for a bit in DC, and then I moved out to Colorado. And when I first came here, I was the state director for a nutrition education program. And we probably at that time had 10 or 11 AmeriCorps members, which actually allowed us to reach all corners of the state and everywhere in between to work with residents in their communities and actually give them cooking classes and help them figure out how to eat healthy on a budget. And we were lucky to have that statewide approach. And I don't think I ever realized how big of an impact it had until 2 years ago. I was actually down in Durango and in Southwest Colorado. And I was at a meeting with a bunch of community organizations, and I referenced the nutrition education program that I was used to oversee, Cooking Matters. And afterwards, one of the participants of the meeting came up to me and said, I took that class, a couple of years ago, and it was life-changing for me. I figured out how to feel better, how to eat healthy. I shared all that information with my neighbors and friends, and then they went and took classes. But the biggest impact, she said, was that she and her family started sitting around the dinner table every night together, enjoying a meal, feeling better about and feeling healthy. And so I think that's just one demonstration of the huge impact that all of you will have. And you probably won't even know it at the time, but there's kind of this ripple effect that in every community, you're going to make a positive impact, and that's going to lead to another positive impact. And that's happening across the state. You are part of a huge network, and we are so, so grateful for all of you to be part of that network, and just look forward to the year ahead. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to Jessica Kramer, who is one of our alumni, and I'll let her tell you more about her experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Summer. Thanks for sharing. I also want to reiterate that I'm so happy to see everyone from across the state, joining and communicating in the chat. This is a great community to be involved in, and I really enjoyed it. I really found my place here in AmeriCorps. I served for about 2-ish years in Reading Corps, and then I did the COVID response for over the summer in a VISTA program. And I really found like the best thing that I learned being an AmeriCorps member was how to be flexible, especially during this time. We started out in Reading Corps in an in-person program, working like one-on-one with students, teaching them how to better read. And then that program had to be flipped almost overnight into an online platform, where your scheduling was all off. You kind of had students whenever you could fit them in. And then you also had to kind of go above and beyond because you were asked to maybe help your community a little bit more outside of reading. Like, I know I served in the Weld County area, and so we did things with the food bank. We helped kind of promote AmeriCorps and things like that, which was kind of, outside of what I originally signed up for, but was great to actually work more with my community than just inside the school I was with. And then when I graduated from this program, I started a job here in Pueblo at Colorado State University, where I really learned that you really have to be flexible in, your day-to-day life and your career and everything. And man, am I so glad we went to an online platform in Reading Corps, because that's really helped me now, because most of the time when I work with students and faculty, it's online. So I'm, better at that, and also, better at modifying programs and having multiple roles in one position. And so I'm really grateful for AmeriCorps for really teaching me how to be flexible, kind of more in my professional life, because you really do learn a lot being an AmeriCorps member, and that passion to serve has really, followed me throughout my career.
Folks, while we wait on our next speaker to join us, I want to share a few thoughts about what's coming up for you all in the next couple weeks. We will be having your member conference over the next couple weeks, and the member advisory committee has been helping plan that, and they will be facilitating some parts of that. And Jessica, when she was a member here, participated in that. It's something we started last year as a way to lift up AmeriCorps voices, to give you a say in the things that affect you. So I want to thank everyone who helped us launch the Member Advisory Committee last year, and for the people who have stuck with us this year, and for the new folks who joined us. It makes a big difference when you share your thoughts and perspectives on training, on events that affect you. We'll be having sessions on how to use your education award. There's a lot going on there. We have 2 alumni who are going to share their experiences with you and guide you through that process. I'll be doing a session on how to pursue a career in government. We'll have a session on how to pursue a career in education through non-traditional avenues. This is our new approach to workforce development that is a big shift for us at Serve Colorado, but it's an important one for us to make. And this is just the start of it. We will have events from here on out to support your future endeavors, not just while you're in service. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Mel Miguel, who is going to be our AmeriCorps member representative.
Hi, I'm Mel. I use they, them pronouns. I am a returning member with AmeriCorps. I'm partnered with Colorado Youth for a Change, and specifically I'm part of their Core for a Change program. I decided to return for a multitude of reasons. Not only do I love the work that CYC does, but truly over my term of service last year, I realized the importance of community and creating those connections within it. Last year, I was partnered with a high school up here in Fort Collins. And basically the work that Core for a Change does is creating a small caseload of students who, for whatever reason, are struggling to attend and engage in school. Let that be simply like not having the motivation, so building motivation, or something larger like mental health things, and getting them referrals to therapy. Last year, truly, I started my service term thinking like, oh, like, you know, much more in the theoretical of like, oh, this is the right thing to do during this time. But it became much more tangible and real to me as I completed my service. I had a majority of my caseload. There were, of course, obvious things that were holding them back from going to class. Let that be like internet connection. I think we forget how like vital it is in this day and age to have an internet connection. So getting them those resources, or understanding the shift in household dynamics as they became a caretaker in their home. But for a lot of my students, it was simply the connection. I had a majority of freshmen on my caseload. And so these were students who were 8th graders when the pandemic started and were now in high school in an entirely new environment with teachers that they didn't know, without a social group. And so having an adult there to be with them and to connect with them was absolutely vital. And I realized that that wasn't something that the school could necessarily provide. You know, we already had teachers at their kind of limit, having to adapt to a new format. And so having support in different ways in the classroom became very apparent to me, and really has shaped how I view education now, and how I view this service term. So I think that this is a really great space to celebrate how interlocked our communities all end up being. Let that be, you know, Serve Colorado, who partners with community partners who connect us to actual gaps of service in our community, and then us as members filling those gaps. Yeah, I know I was supposed to introduce the video, but I entered the meeting late. I'm sorry about that.
Not to worry. Please don't worry. I just thank you so much for joining us, Mel, and for Jessica for coming back. And Mel is one of the participants of the Member Advisory Committee that I was just talking about. And Mel has been around for since the start of it, and has been a great voice and participant in that process. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to John.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for your remarks and your service. I'd now like to turn it over to an incredible and innovative leader in Governor Polis's cabinet. Shoshana Liu is the executive director of Colorado Department of Transportation, and she has an incredible story of service and history with the program. So we're so happy to have her here to offer some remarks and lead us in the AmeriCorps pledge. Shoshana?
Thanks, John, and so nice to have the chance to see all of you virtually this morning, and hopefully sometime in the flesh. AmeriCorps is a long-lasting reminder that there are always thousands upon thousands of Americans who want to give something back to our country. It was first formed as Volunteers in Service of America, or VISTA, in 1965, and we had not long before lost the president who had famously said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And it was really out of that legacy of John F. Kennedy that the sort of granule of this program and the selfless call for service began. President Clinton, who reformulated and expanded VISTA and really created the modern day AmeriCorps program in 1993, once said, volunteering is an act of heroism on a grand scale, and it matters profoundly. It does more than help people beat the odds, it changes the odds. Later in 2014, President Barack Obama celebrated the 20th anniversary of this wonderful program and said, AmeriCorps has changed the life of our nation. And now it's up to us to make sure it continues, because we're not just here today to celebrate what's already been achieved. We're here to rededicate ourselves to the work that lies ahead and here to get things done. It just shows you the kind of tradition of service coming from the highest level in this country and why this is such a big deal for our nation as a whole. These are all great quotes from presidents. I will say I don't have a similarly inspirational quote to give you, but I do want to tell you about sort of my own experience as kind of a jet-lagged kid from the East Coast showing up in Colorado when I was about 23, having never set foot in the Four Corners and suddenly finding myself out of my element on a mountain. That was the summer of 2006 when I did a summer as an AmeriCorps volunteer. And, I really didn't know the first thing about this region and frankly couldn't tell you exactly how I landed here at that time. I'd never built trails, but that was our job. And so I had a pickaxe and was struggling with the elevation and, cut my teeth on it for weeks, sort of clearing brush, wondering about my own life choices and sort of waiting for the history graduate school program that was ahead of me. On the weekends, I didn't have a car and frankly would have had no business on Wolf Creek Pass anyway if I did. I kind of indulged my curiosity reading historical documents about the area. And yes, you can wonder if I still had altitude sickness. But when I started learning, about both the kind of land itself and trying to dig into the history behind it, it gave me a lot of the grounding on the issues that would one day become my passion for public service. Really the issues that are so fundamental to understanding, Colorado's political, social, and environmental landscape. Everything from energy and water rights, land use, environmental and conservation issues. In retrospect, the trail leader was probably humoring me when he invited me to brief the trail crew on, all the things I had learned on the weekends. I'm sure whatever they were doing, they had a better time. But the whole time in this sort of strange place, really an alien environment at the time, I'm trying to adjust and wondering, would I ever see this place again when the stint was over? And, when I come back to the San Juans, I'll tell you I was there last weekend. To be clear, to see the fall leaves, not to try and poke around in archives. Turns out CDOT has a regional headquarters right where I did that volunteer stint. And it's a place where I go both for my job and because it reminds me of the things I love about Colorado. And, I'll say that when I moved here to take a high level position in the cabinet, that was the first place that felt like home in the state. I will also say that I didn't appreciate any of that when I was doing my summer as an AmeriCorps volunteer. I could see a few switchbacks coming together on the Colorado Trail, but I didn't really see the connections between the large scale policy decisions and the, human scale policy effects and how this would all come together in my own life. And, I'll say that you might not see those connections immediately either. But I will say that when I began my public service career in earnest, working throughout the Obama administration and then as a transportation department official, both in Rhode Island and then in Colorado, I kind of saw how there was this connection between the tangible places where we do our work and the big policies that sort of make that happen at the macro scale, bringing together issues like conservation, land management, environmental policies, the built environment, and sort of the relationship between humans and nature. And really that passion for land use and resource management has become the thing that threads a lot of the pieces of my own career together. You know, it's easier to see in hindsight, but you know, some of that took root during my summer doing trail maintenance for AmeriCorps. And you know, at the end of the day, really, these big macro policies we talk about at high levels of government are just the sum of all of the things that people like you do on the ground. So as you embark on your service to AmeriCorps, I guess I would ask you to keep an open mind about its meaning and its value, and don't assume you're going to see the whole journey at once, and really see where the trail takes you and enjoy the ride. With that, are we ready to do the pledge? All right.
And we're going to share it right now on screen with you. There you go.
All right. Do we do this all together, or should I read it while people read along?
You won't hear them, but yeah, you can read it aloud and they'll be taking the pledge along with you.
All right. I will get things done for America to make our people safer, smarter, and healthier. I will bring Americans together to strengthen our communities. Faced with apathy, I will take action. Faced with conflict, I will seek common ground. Faced with adversity, I will persevere. I will carry this commitment with me this year and beyond. I am an AmeriCorps member, and I will get things done.
Thank you so much, Shoshana. I really appreciate you spending some time with us today and for your remarks and leading us in the pledge. I think it's incredible that you started out building trails in Colorado and AmeriCorps. Now you're building roads for the state. And so it's really great to have you as part of this network. And thank you for spending some time with these incredible individuals who are going to be serving the state this year. So as Danny said, we've got a few things coming up, but we just wanted to take this moment today to really celebrate your service through this swearing in ceremony. And we look forward to seeing all the incredible things that you'll get done this year. So thank you again for joining, and thank you for your service.